Joby and Trychus, it is now the next day. When you wake up, sort of, is there anything you guys are wanting to, like, are you just gonna head back into town to meet up with the other two, or maybe you guys, yeah. Describe to us what's going on, what's in your characters' heads.
Trychus want to get close to where the Kel-Morian set up shop to see how it looks like from the outside.
Okay. Um, so are you going to just, as when you wake up, you're gonna sneak out of the ship and try to go off on your own, or?
No, he's going to wake up Joby since he knows the town better and he does not want to get lost.
You go over to Joby's bunk, like, area on the ship, and you kind of, you like knock on the door and you just go up to him and like start shaking him.
No, he's gonna knock. He's civilized. He's been in highly civilized countries, so he's gonna knock and he's gonna wait to see if there is any reaction before he does anything else.
Is there a reaction?
From him knocking on the door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. No.
No.
Better.
In that case, he's gonna wait for 5 minutes. If he's not waking up by that, he's gonna get inside now.
So, Joby, is your door locked?
No, it's open.
Okay, so then, yeah, Trychus just opens the door, comes on in, and barges into your room.
I'm still asleep.
He's gonna hit the butt of his rifle against the bed where he's sleeping, forcefully to get him to wake up.
So, thump.
Thump.
Joby, you kind of startled, gradually awake.
Who's there? Don't be hitting on my ship too hard, or you're gonna break everything. You're gonna have this damn roof collapse on you.
Okay, thanks for the advice, I guess. You know, it's kind of morning. Let's get up. We have some people to see.
All right. Dude, give me about 10 minutes. You want some coffee?
I actually don't trust Marsar and coffee, so I'm gonna pass.
All right. I'm gonna take 10 minutes to get up and then go with him wherever he needs to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
Trychus is gonna wait outside the ship.
We'll switch gears over to Abraham and Kennedy. How are you guys doing this morning, this AM?
So are we just waking up just now, or?
Yeah, we can say that. It's the morning of the next day after you guys got into town.
Abraham is. What is Abraham doing? That's a good question.
He's in my shed.
I know he's in your shed. It's just a matter of what does he do after he wakes up, because, as we recall, he just sort of staked out a corner of your place and kind of slept sitting up.
Whichever place had the
Right.
less likelihood of you getting tetanus is the best place of you settling up.
No, he slept sitting up, is what I said.
Yeah,
Um,
place it's full of scrap.
It is. It is. I suppose. I suppose the first thing he's going to do is just kind of patrol the perimeter, really. Kind of get a lay of the land, see where people are, see what the movement of people are like this early in the day. Where are they going? Are they coming close? Are they staying away? Getting a sense of the behaviors of the people around him.
Okay, then
Huh?
a skill that would maybe give you some information about that.
Let's look at my skills. Yeah. Training.
Perception will work.
Yeah.
Give us a perception as see like what kind of information you can glean from Heriston in the early morning.
Okay.
An 8.
Yeah, I'm a little too groggy.
Yeah, that's not gonna get you much of anything other than it's morning.
Yeah.
People are waking up. They might be you might notice people are sort of like getting breakfast at the various like bars or establishments, and
Yeah. I'm not like seeing any discernible patterns about the behavior, and I think we see Letchel kind of get really upset about that. Like, there's no set routine here. There's no patterns. There's no like people are doing things. People aren't doing things in a very set, mechanical, planned out way. They're just sort of going about their day.
Mm-hmm.
That's not gelling with him. He doesn't like that.
Okay. So you don't really accomplish much of in terms of actual like information gathering, and so we'll then see Kennedy. What are you doing?
I am pushing a cart full of random parts to head to his ship and try to start repairing it.
Okay. So much like do you just have a big old cart that you're wheeling out over there?
Essentially a shopping cart full of metal parts and stuff like that.
You just start heading over that way.
I roll a science roll to see if there's any what the major damage to the building the ship is.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Roll a science roll to just investigate the ship. Letchel, did you leave the ship unlocked when you and like is there a lock on it, or did holy shit?
There's not a lock now. Like I'm gonna say yes, there's a lock.
That was a nat 20, a
as
science roll. Kennedy, you kind of inspect all around the ship to see like what's all wrong with it. And you can notice like there's just a bunch of scorch marks and blast marks sort of all around it. From your advanced science technical know-how, you can tell that whatever story they might have concocted or avoided the question just from examining the damage and like the scorch marks and oh hey, this wing is like nearly broken off. You can tell that they were in pretty serious, not a serious, I guess, you know, it's not exactly like this thing is torn to bits, but you can tell that it's pretty it was involved in a fight, and from that you can tell that specifically it was involved with a fight with wraiths, which are not super common for your average like random like maybe a pirate attack or something. Essentially you could tell that there were at least a couple of them working in some way, and you're like, okay, this thing's pretty messed up. When you sort of go to the side door to try and to like maybe see if it's open up, you notice that it is locked, and then you kind of just press some random buttons on the keypad, and then it gives you an error sign, an error like message sparks, and then the door just kind of slowly begins to like lean open, like the loading door.
I love this.
You make your way inside, and essentially, you know, second verse, same as the first. The inside, the damage wasn't just exterior, it pretty much extended inside. A lot of the internal systems are either mangled beyond repair or fried to the point of, like, it would be easier to just straight up find a new one than to fix, like, how bad some of these things are messed up. The main console barely works. In fact, it's kind of a wonder they were able to land this thing. And so you kind of mess around with some of the inputs and buttons on it, and the sort of shipboard AI just kind of gives you a diagnostic report, and it basically is just like, here's a system malfunctioning, here's another system malfunctioning, here's a diagnostic missing a critical component. So essentially, in your mind, the ship is pretty much unrepairable, but it could still be, there might still be some components in here that you can take apart and keep the scrap of.
Okay, are there like cabins or quarters, whatever it's called? It's like individual rooms?
There actually aren't. So,
Oh, shit.
yeah, I believe we kind of went over this. That this thing was very much a personal craft, where like there maybe is like a bed in like a hallway leading towards the main cockpit, but other than that, it's pretty cramped, and there's like
So
some storage for
pretty much that ship in the Mandalorian, right? It's just really like a small hallway and then a ladder going up.
Yes.
If that's like the best way for me to understand what I'm looking at.
Yeah, basically. That sounds like about what this ship would look like.
Can I look around and see if I can find... I'm pretty sure they took all their valuable stuff with them, but I want to see if I can find what more stuff that can help me insight of who these guys were.
Yeah, sure. So,
Like, try to find like computer files or like any belongings like left behind.
roll
My
perception.
skills are science, stealth, and survival.
Hold on. What? I was gonna say, what stat does perception use? Instinct? Yeah, we can say that works. An 11. Okay, so you sort of mill around and pick apart some
Totally
things. Like I said, a lot of their valuables and maybe like their personal identifiers are stuff that they've already taken, or you just can't find any. Really the only thing you can glean is that you notice that there isn't a lot of like consumer material. Like there isn't a lot of personal like items. Like it seems like the only food that you can find on the ship is like pretty close, nearly military grade ration stuff, but like not quite, you know, just but like the most barest essential, like, oh, what is this food? It has nutrients. Okay. You can't find any like personal belongings or indications of like, oh hey, I like this thing, I'm gonna hang it up here or whatever. It's the whole ship is pretty Spartan in terms of what's on it. But I say that's kind of all you can get from there.
Do I find like a serial number on like the computers or something? Like the serial number of the ship, something like that.
Sure. Like, okay, you're like looking for
a way to track where the ship was manufactured and stuff like that.
I like how that thinks. That's an interesting approach to this. So with a perception, with only a roll of 11, I don't think you can find anything physical that would give you that information. It mostly is like what I said. As far as if you could maybe try and access the ship's logs, but it would be extremely difficult, considering that it has been pretty mangled up. Like you got the diagnostic report from the main console, but yeah, you could try to access other features that might tell you where it's been, but like through the nav computer. So if you want to roll another science roll, but it's going to be pretty difficult.
I roll a computer roll.
Is there a computer roll? Because if so, then
computers.
yes.
There's computers. It's a skill. I have 24. That wasn't even a critical success.
All right, let me check the. There's a skills. Yeah, I'm gonna say that doesn't work.
Fuck, 24 doesn't work.
Yeah. Hey,
Am
it's
I at
easy
least
to roll
able to-
high, but you know sometimes the skills are gonna be a bit hard.
Can I at least like copy the hard drive and try to temp it later? Like
Nah.
trying to recover the data.
That's
Yeah,
gonna be.
no,
That's
like,
gonna be. You can roll another computer's check to try and download the hard drive to the data pad.
Okay, it would
The
still
only
be
issue
corrupted, but
is
still
that not only is that going to be an even harder skill check than what you just did, but it also is going to like take a long time. So you're gonna have to like leave it there for a couple days and hope no one like wanders
Fuck.
in and finds it. So if you want to attempt that still, you can try. I will also say if you attempt to do that, it would yeah. I'm gonna say you can try. It's harder than the previous skill check, and it will take a long time for it to actually work. So for it to process everything.
Yeah. Is there a way I can like get a different type of hardware to help it fix it?
This gets less into the fact that it's broken and more into the fact that it's you're trying to access like a ship's hard drive. Naturally, you would need like the owners like an access code. So this is like straight up hacking instead of. That's why it takes so much harder. Like I guess you could fix it and it would make all of these checks easier, but you would only get it like a little bit easier because for this check specifically, it's more like you're hacking into it than just accessing basic stuff.
Will that fuck it up at all? If I fuck it up too much?
Well, you'll have to try and find out.
Shit. Does it have artificial intelligence or a BI? It's like
Yeah, it has a I'd say it has closer to what a VI would be than an AI. Simply just because it's just a kind of a basic ship like navigation set of programs. For like a ship to have like an actual like advanced like intelligent AI, it would probably need an adjutant installed onto it.
God. Please get my last attempt. Can I try and impersonate Letchel to get this thing to tell me information?
Letchel, is your ship voice coded or like password coded? How would the encryption on your ship work? How would Letchel have his encryption work?
That's a good question. Honestly, it would probably be a very standard emotion protector sort of encryption. So I'm gonna go with voice coded actually.
Okay. So it's gonna be voice coded. So yes, you can actually try to. You can maybe push some buttons, and the screen will say like voice authorization. And when you access that screen, it kind of the whole console, like the screen, kind of blinks out for a second before it like turns back on. And it just it kind of has that sort of flickering monitor where it's like it's near the end of its life kind of flicker.
Don't die on me yet.
So if you want to try and imitate Letchel
It's
to
like I'm the
access
influence.
this, you can roll a which I would
I guess
almost
the only
say
speech check.
yeah, it's very close to being just a straight up speech check. I'd almost say it would be like a mental training type thing. Yeah, I think you can roll mental training, and I guess that would kind of fall under like, oh, I prepared myself, like I can do this
Okay.
sort of
I'll tell
thing.
Brett.
Because you have to like recall Letchel's voice and mannerisms and speech patterns and stuff. 12.
Phew,
Yeah.
access Letchel.
What do you say?
I kind of go like I try to do like computer access Letchel. Try to imitate his voice,
Yeah.
but my character just sounds like Bill and Ted, so it's impossible.
So yeah, you say that, and then the screen changes to say voice authorization denied. Locking console, and all the lights on this front console immediately go off. And no matter how you push the buttons, they won't come back on.
I kind of like hold my arms out, like, well, fuck. Kind of just get up, and I guess I just go back and report back to Letchel, tell him how good of a job I did.
Right. Okay. You maybe knock some screws out of place with your wrench and go, progress.
I kind of like bang against a wall, and like some stuff falls down, and I'm like halfway there.
Yeah. Repair out there. So Letchel, you are still wandering the streets pretty just confounded. Nonchalantly confounded and just being like, what the hell do I do? As you're pondering over how what
Yeah,
you're
like,
gonna do,
there's
I guess. Is there anything like specifically you want to make note of, like of what he's thinking, or?
Yeah, there are several thoughts running through his mind. First and foremost is regardless to how the heck he's going to get off this planet and get back to the usual protectorate where he delivers the asset under his care. There's also a matter of the current mission objective, I guess side mission objective, really, of getting this Kel-Morian combine mineral sample, was it? I believe it was a mineral sample.
Yes. It wasn't the Kel-Morian. Yeah, I guess it's under a Kel-Morian combine mining operation, but it is a certain minerals on the planet have been altered by the Protoss purification process,
Yeah.
and are exhibiting strange properties.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so like those are the two foremost things on his mind, but he's also kind of rolling through his head of the message he received from High Command. Would that be the correct word?
I don't know if High Command would be the exact way to describe that. It is sort of a straight up and down order from there's the Emojian Ruling Council. So, I don't think High Command would be the way they would describe that, but just, your boss.
Well, yeah, his boss. He's still kind of rolling through his boss and his orders to not seek out other potential assets, which doesn't sit super well with him, to be perfectly honest. I mean, that's his job. If there's anything that can benefit the protectorate, it sort of stands to reason he should attempt to collect it, side detour or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of a conflict of interests going through his head right now.
So we'll say as you're walking down, you're mulling about that. You kind of you're walking just sort of along the streets and down every which way, getting the lay of the town. And eventually you come across just this giant Goliath walker, kind of just walking around on its own, which is a bit odd.
Are there any
Considering,
discernible markings on it?
I'd say there isn't anything, like there aren't any like particular markings on it, and in terms of like any faction. However, it does seem to have like some sort of like intimidating like battle paint, like maybe there's a skull painted across one shoulder, or there's like a fucking like an eat shit like on either leg, like one leg has eat, the other leg has shit painted on it.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's just kind of walking around, and just occasionally like the cockpit is kind of turning one way or the other.
Beautiful, yeah.
Eventually, as it is sort of walking down the street, it kind of turns, and the cockpit faces you, and the Goliath kind of changes its course kind of slightly and begins walking over in your direction.
Letchel is going to attempt to step out of the way of the thing. Like, okay, here's something coming at me, a bit bigger, I'm just gonna step out of the way and let him pass, sort of motion.
Okay, so you kind of step to the side of the road, and as it comes closer to you, it then comes to like just maybe a few meters away from you, and the cockpit turns and faces you, and you hear a voiceover, sort of a comms loud speaker, and it goes, "I haven't seen you in my town before. You from that ship that crashed into my port?"
If you're going to ask... Sorry, why didn't... If you're going to be asking me questions, I would like to see your face while you do it.
The Goliath cockpit, it lifts up, and inside is a man who's like extremely stocky. Like he has a fucking massive beer gut. He fucking is just like all around. Has like fucking large arms, all that whole shit, and he's wearing like what can only be like, I guess, explained as like just his space military cosplay. It's just like he's wearing just like the stupid like not the stupidest, but he's wearing an outfit that's basically like, I'm not in the military. Maybe I once was, but God, do I wish I was still in the military. He has a fucking like beret on, and he has a really thick sort of mustache. And this is the sheriff of the town, Gore Causeway. As the cockpit leans up, he kind of leans back in the seat of his Goliath, arms still kind of on the like hands still on the like the two joystick things that are controlling it. And he goes, "There. Now are you from that piece of junk that landed in my port yesterday? Didn't anybody tell you it was rude to not let your host know you were stopping by?" As his thumb just kind of circles a big red button at the top of the voice joystick longingly.
Yeah, Abraham says you'll have to you'll have to forgive me. I was not aware that was a registry in this town I need to sign upon arrival. I'm merely passing through. I have no intention to be here more than a few days.
I don't care how long you're gonna be staying here for. You just need to know the pecking order of this here rock. And the pecking order goes: you, the dirt, and then me. So, so just as long as you know that, if you cause any trouble for me or my dirt, well, I'm gonna have to take care of. I'm gonna have to take care of you.
Yeah, so Letchel regards him very calmly, very professionally, and he nods his head. I have no intention of causing any trouble for your town. Was there military rank associated with this guy on his suit again? Or
Let me see.
I
Master,
don't know if you
Captain,
mentioned it.
Lieutenant?
I might have missed it.
No, he doesn't have any military ranks.
Yeah, okay.
However, he doesn't have like any like stars or like badges or anything that would denote.
Yeah, no facsimiles or anything like that. Gotcha.
Mhm.
I have no intention of causing any trouble for your town, Mr. Causeway. As I said, I'm merely passing through. I have no intention of staying any longer than I have to, and so see no reason to get myself. What's the one for here? Too deeply entrenched in the politics of your town. My own personal goal, cause as few ripples here as I possibly can.
Well, then I'm gonna hold you to your word on that. I don't think I caught your name.
Letchel. Abraham Letchel.
Well then, Mr. Rio Letchel, I'm gonna hold you to that word of you not causing any ripples in my town. 'Cause I like things being calm and nice when I go out fishing. You have a good day now. And then the Goliath, the cockpit just starts to lower and it turn and it keeps sort of walking around patrolling the town.
As it does, I'd like to take a look at it, study it real fast to see if it has any. Because obviously he's done a very custom job to this. Is there anywhere on this that he's left particularly vulnerable to?
Roll that
Maybe not even
science
attack,
skill.
just like tinkering. Science it is. Where's science? Here's science. There we go.
An 18. Yeah, I'd say that an 18 is going to not really, you can't really spot out anything of the, you can't really spot anything out of the ordinary about the Goliath, like any maybe like exposed wires or sparking mechanisms, or hitching mechanisms, and stuff like that. So yeah, seems to be like the Goliath on the surface looks, kind of rough. I mean, you can tell it's not in like the quality of like a highly maintained piece of military equipment, but it's pretty much the best looking thing you've seen in this town, apart from the docks lab.
Okay.
We're gonna go ahead and hop back to Trychus and Joby. Joby has gotten prepared and woken up at this point, and will sort of exits the ship where Trychus has been like leaning against the wall waiting for him. So yeah, what you want to say to anything to each other, or talk about what like Trychus's plan on where he wants to go, and get Joby to sort of direct him and guide him?
Yeah. Trychus is going to turn to Joby and say, well, you did take your sweet time. We better get moving. I would like to go check that mine combines headquarters. I want to see what they're doing in there.
Sure. You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. You want to go meet up with your buddy first before we go, or do you just want to head on over there?
No, let's head on first. We can meet with him later.
Alrighty. Then I guess we're gonna make our way over there.
Yeah. So you guys start heading back towards the town, but making a slight detour to kind of veer a bit closer to the Kel-Morian enclave fortress area. Trychus, what exactly are you like looking out for?
Can Trychus inspect the
Or just
the
like
fortress from a vantage point? Is there a higher vantage point around?
a high vantage point. I'd say kind of. There's various like sort of mounds of dirt and rolling hills and whatnot. It's not like a completely flat terrain, but like you can't, aside from like some mountains in the distance, it'd be very hard to like find a vantage point from which you're like looking down on the enclave. But you can find like some hills and stuff that kind of, if you are gonna lay down on to overlook, then you can.
Okay,
So yeah.
then Trychus is going to head to one of those hills and have a closer look at the defense of the fortress, how many people there is from where he can see. If there is any dent in the security, stuff like that.
I would like to like mimic his stealth walking and then slowly behind him go. But so what are you doing over here, bud? What are we looking at?
Please, I'm trying to assess the situation.
Okay, can you both roll stealth then? Oh, that's pretty good. And then Joby, can you also roll stealth?
That's not as good.
Not as good.
I did say I was gonna like clumsily mimic him on purpose.
Yeah, so so Trychus, you sort of kind of stealth sneak up this hill to get a vantage point of looking over the Kel-Morian enclave. So basically how it's set up is there is a pretty large outer wall that is essentially not circling, but it's like a square outer wall around the main compound area. And it has sort of entranceways on all four sides. Each one kind of like slides into open. All along the wall there are marine, like full decked out, like hard skin marines patrolling the sort of outer wall, which you remember seeing like last night as well. So it seems they keep that patrol constant, and they're just kind of like walking along back and forth, like looking out over the waste to make sure that anything that is approaching that looks violent gets destroyed. There are some defensive battery, like defensive guns arranged at each corner that you can kind of make out that an operator is sitting in. Is there anything more specific you're looking for? Or?
Okay, does the team look like stressed, like surprised, like they're dealing with some unexpected shit?
Roll perception to see if you can tell if they're walking in a jittery way or if the guns are actually trained on anything. $17 is pretty good. Yeah, one of the things you can notice is that, Joby, which direction out of Heriston did you say your ship is?
I don't think we covered that.
Alright, I'm gonna pick one then. It's east. It's east of Heriston, and it's kind of, so by order of if the ship is east and the Enclave is sort of between the ship and this, Heriston, the Enclave is east of Heriston. You can notice that the Marines patrolling along the walls is that there seem, after you look to sort of check their patrol patterns and see, okay, how exactly are they moving, where are they walking, there are a handful more located along the southern wall that you guys are kind of observing, since you're a bit to the south of the Enclave, and that the guns are actually kind of trained to the south and a bit to the east. Essentially the Marines kind of look like, you can tell sort of from the movements and their positioning that they seem to be expecting something. At the very least, they think that the south and like the southern and eastern walls need to be defended more than the northern and western walls at the moment.
Okay, so like they are expecting something to hit the southeast.
Mm-hmm.
Does my psionic detection pick up anything?
I'm gonna say not as of right now. You aren't picking anything up. You're certain, like, either if there is something with a psionic index, it's either like too far away at the current moment, or it's just something that's too small for you to actually feel out at the distance that it is currently, basically. Yeah. Essentially, like psionically, you can't feel anything currently, but that isn't necessary. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's nothing out there, because your psionic ability is not, like, from a level perspective, it's not crazy yet. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is there's the potential where maybe if you were a couple levels higher and had a bit more points invested into it, it would be you'd be picking something up. But as of right now, you can't feel anything out. Yeah, man.
Yeah, in that case, I guess I'm just gonna start heading back in town.